It's
Still
a little
setting us. There we go.
There it is.
Had to re-put in my password. You're all set.
All right. So I would like to go ahead and call to order the Board of Ed Budget Finance and Operations Committee meeting for Monday, February 28th. And, I think we'll just start right off. We'll just jump right into the agenda. We got a quick one today, and we'll just go right into the financial report from Dawn.
Sure, I'm happy to. Before you is the month ending, year-to-date ending January 31st. Not a lot to report that you haven't already been reported to, as each month there's not a lot of activity at the beginning of the year, mostly it's towards the end of the year. One thing I will bring your attention to is that special education did file for their first CCR reimbursement. The filing was slightly higher than this time last year by $124,803. However, the threshold for this year is up to $97,596 versus $92,234. And what that means is we have to pay the first $97,500 of every student before it's submitted for reimbursement to the state. That said, I am anticipating at this time that our reimbursement will be similar to last year, and we will not make the $1.4 million that we currently have budgeted. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind, as well as the fact that we do anticipate them still trending slightly over budget. And that there's not a whole lot more to report.
Okay. Dawn, do you know about how much do you anticipate being over budget?
I don't at this point, but we will watch it. You'll come through and you see the line right now. If you look at the projections that's out there, she's trending about $259,000 over budget right now. I do know she does have some grant money coming in that can help soften the blow of that overage.
But that's as of right now. I mean, that number could go up. I mean, it's not going to go down, but it could go up between now and June.
For sure.
Correct.
It likely will.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on the report, Sean? I was going to say members of the committee, but
Member.
No,
it all seems pretty straightforward. I wish I could lock in that oil rate though. That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Joe did an amazing timing on that. He sat and watched it every moment of the day for a period of time, and just finally sent that RFP out and said, lock it in, somebody give me a rate.
You did good.
Did really good.
All right. Then why don't we just jump into transfers then, Dawn?
All right, transfers. These transfers will bring you up to date through what we currently have at the end of February. There was a small transfer back in December that didn't make the December or the January report when I reported to you at the January meeting. So there's an athletic purchase services to transportation for the girls swim fall program. And that is to cover costs of transportation. And they had available purchase services on the other two lines because they did not have the official payments. The officials who officiate the swim meets, they had funds left over from that. And football as well. In athletics, the other was dance purchase services to dance materials. They needed additional funds, $50 to cover the dance team uniforms. They were able to have these funds available because they normally would rent the rec center for 3 days out of a week, and they weren't able to do so for various reasons. And therefore, they had a little bit of funds left over in the purchase service line and transferred it to the materials line. For facilities, we had a failed hot water heater at Veterans Park that was an immediate and needed attention to be fixed, and therefore they transferred projects, Barlow Mountain, to projects Veterans Park. The part, if you felt comfortable in transferring that money with Barlow Mountain, as some of the projects that he anticipated that were part of this budget when the budget originally went through were able to be taken care of earlier in the year before the school system started.
Thank you. Welcome,
Sure.
Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, everybody. Sorry I'm late. I couldn't find the Zoom link.
Oh, story of our life. Hi, Tom.
In facilities in February, they also had another building repair at high school. Actually, it was building repair at the alternative high school that was necessary. And therefore, they moved funds from 3 repair lines, Barlow Mountain, Branchville, and Eastridge into repairs high school in order to complete the expense of the renovation of the alternative high school. In addition, they asked for building repairs from central office to be moved to building repairs Scottsbridge, and that was to cover emergency heating unit that went down that needed to be replaced at Scottsbridge. In technology, there was a request from technology to move money from their hardware equipment line to professional technical services. And these were to cover the cost of the multi-factor authentication software that was required for us to purchase. It was an unbudgeted item at the time, and therefore he was covering that with the hardware equipment line. In anticipation of approval tonight by the full board, moving $25,000 back into the hardware line is what his support, his hope is, and you'll see that in a couple more lines down. For technology as well, he had a $10,000 request from the hardware equipment line to education technical subscriptions. And this was to cover the cost of the communications contract that he was finishing out for the rest of the year.
I think I've spoken about this just to clarify is that this individual, you know, the RPS news that goes out, this individual was originally in our webmaster contract. And so we basically cut out the middleman. We pay that person separately as opposed to having that paying them and then them paying her or him, whoever ends up the role. But instead of doing that and paying that person even less than they're actually receiving now. So we just cut out the middleman, and that's why the transfer is there. Same service, just a little different.
Okay.
And the high school English had asked for a transfer of $800 from their textbook line to instructional materials. And these were funds that were needed to purchase additional class assessment and writing instruction materials. The textbooks were covered by some of curriculum funds, and therefore they had some funds available. In Eastridge Middle School, $447,000.96 from Student Assembly Pride to instructional materials school-wide. Student Assembly at this time, the request of there was no more assemblies, and therefore there was some funds available, and they needed it in order to purchase various materials for departments for their advisory blocks.
Don, just real quick, I think you accidentally obviously said 447,000.
Oh, $447.96. If I did, I
I
apologize.
happened to be reading this.
Then I didn't need that much. I don't think they have that much money.
It's a big assembly.
Yeah. Scottsbridge math, again, textbooks were covered by the curriculum budget. They asked to have funds transferred over to instructional materials. The additional supplies were needed for calculators, whiteboard markers, and various supplies in the math area. Athletics had request of a purchase service transfer out into security and health. And this was because when they originally had budgeted their EMT ambulance service from the football season, they originally had budgeted into purchase services, which is where it used to be in the past, but they had created that health and service line, health and safe security line. And therefore that is where it should be paid out of. And therefore with the transfer, this lines that up. Again, athletic transportation, girls and boys cross country to a management contract. Now, the management Consultant line, I'm sorry, not contract, consultant line is in the general services budget. So this is transferring out of athletics into general services. And this was funds that were needed to cover a survey for a land trust transfer that was performed from some land that the cross-country team will be able to use.
Oh, wow.
And yep, and then kind of the last one was technology, and this is the one that hopefully with your approval, the last two actually needs full board approval, the land trust one as well as this one. This is the insurance consultant contract. This contract was available, these funds are available because we switched insurance companies and we no longer have to pay the management fee that's there. We had budgeted, so we're moving that into the hardware equipment technology in order to cover some of the funds for the multi-factor authentication software that was required to be purchased. And that's transfers.
All right. I had a couple questions, but Sean or Tom, do you have any questions?
I have just a couple centered around this multi-factor authentication stuff, and I know it's going to come up at the full board, so we might get our story straight now. So we're moving 33 and change out. We're putting 25 back in, so it's a net of 8. I know that, so for the rest of the board who may not know how this works, the insurance companies went to towns and schools and said, you have to have this multi-factor authentication or we can't insure you. So it was, nobody saw it coming. Whammo, this year they all have to do it. It ain't cheap. That's a one-time expense. What's our ongoing on that? Because I know there's going to be a subscription underneath this because everything is subscription.
Dr. DeSantis is listening. I believe it's the same cost, but he'll get us that answer in just a minute.
Oof. I know it ain't cheap and I know it ain't easy. And that's just for the software. What about the implementation, the training, all that? Is there any cost associated there?
We'll find that out. And Sean, I don't know if we'll have it.
Don't have to have it now. Have it for the
We'll make sure
full
that
board. I'm just
we will.
pointing those dynamics out because they're
I
important.
believe he has the answers to those.
I'm confident he will. He always does.
Well, here's the first part of your answer. Sean is right, is what he said. It starts off well. About $30,000 a year is the ongoing cost, Sean.
Okay, that's ugly.
Yikers.
It started off.
I wish I was in multi-factor authentication software sales right now because you're
Yeah.
killing it. You don't have
And
to
I
ship
wish
any
you
hardware,
were
supply chain.
wrong, but not this time.
Yeah.
And
There's going to be a
Sean,
cost of about $15,000 for the hardware tokens.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that's if without having people lose them and everything else. But so, yes.
Yeah, of course. They become keychains. It's awesome. You'll learn to live with it.
our just as an aside, our company, we have the tokens on our phones.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah,
the problem
that-
is you get into the who owns your phone. and
Correct.
exactly.
Unions get ugly about it.
And incidentally, it's my personal phone, but they essentially own it. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's where it goes into just a different balancing act with then we give you the
Yep.
token, and then if you lose the token, then you have to pay for the token. So what do you prefer?
Right.
Yeah. That's a mess. My two questions were one's much smaller. Some on the dance up in the January transfers.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm presuming that it costs more than $50 a day to rent the rec center. So
Oh, absolutely does. They just needed the $50. All they needed is transfer in for materials for the uniform line. They
Right, so
had
what-
funds for the uniform, so they just were $50 short, so they just took $50 transfer. in.
so that there's going to be other money there that can transfer for other things.
Yes, there will be money left over for the purchase services line if they need that for, but I
Something
think dance winter's over, so I don't know if they have spring or yeah, I don't know if they have a spring dance.
Okay, it was just
Program.
more about how's the process is working. The other thing is so what projects aren't going to get done at Barlow Mountain? I mean, the 6,000 that's quite a big number. That's
It's not that they're not going to. When I asked Joe that question, he says that the projects, the money is available because they were able to complete projects with funds from the earlier time, or from the spring before school started, some of the projects that were set for the budget, he was able to complete ahead of time with funds that were available from the end of last year. So he had the funds available from Barlow Mountain to be able to transfer in without cutting any projects that haven't been completed yet.
So he over budgeted last year?
I wouldn't say he over budgeted. I would say he had projects that were planned and there were funds available. He can explain it a little bit better than I can, and he'll be on the full board. But when the year ended, there were funds available because of the COVID year, things were cut back a little bit. And a lot of stuff was covered under COVID versus the general fund. Yeah.
What I
So-
think I'm hearing you say is that due to having some surplus in the spring, he was able to get those projects that he anticipated when he originally budgeted in October. He was able to get those done in the spring. And so therefore he was able to transfer this money for the unanticipated expense of Veterans Park.
Correct.
Okay.
As
And
to
then-
what the specific projects were, I'm not sure,
That's
but
fine.
he'll be able to answer those.
And then it's a similar question then for the line below it. I mean, $3,000 out of a repair budget at East Ridge. I would imagine that's a number of repairs that aren't getting done or getting deferred.
That could be true. And I think Joe's best to answer those, but
Okay.
Ken, I think that is a reality. And we've seen it happen year
Sure.
after year is oftentimes like, just let's take this year and the conversation we had earlier with special education, we're over budget in special education. So we're going to have to cut somewhere
Right.
or we're going to have to move money. And so some of those projects that are less of a priority will end up getting pushed back and not getting done. And that's honestly what we've seen year after year after year. It's the same discussion that we've had with furniture and why our furniture, if you go through these buildings, looks like, it's been from 1972. And that's because little by little, we just keep cutting back because we end up having to make these pretty drastic budget cuts.
I just want everybody to remember today's deferred maintenance is tomorrow's capital expense.
Correct. Or you're sitting on a three-legged chair.
Yeah, well, that's good for the core.
Kids are resilient. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea.
I know.
We've been hearing that for 2 years now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just from the form, don't we normally, well, on the form, I just noticed, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it up earlier. The number for February again, the building repair for central office, there's not a corresponding credit.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
And
No,
and
it's the exact same amount.
oh, I know. I just this formatting it. And don't we normally have a total transfers line?
No, I don't think I ever put a total on that.
I couldn't remember. Okay. And I didn't look back too. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, we can in the future if that's something you want to make a change on.
I'm okay. Just another data point, but we see it go in and out, and that's really the matter where it's coming from and where it's going. I think that's the important piece.
And then if you look at your projections, other than unless they are within the same group, you'll see
Yeah.
the transfers on the projections in the
that's
adjustment
right.
column.
That's true. Okay. All right. Does anyone else on the committee have any other questions? No.
None here.
All
I just-
right.
And if I can, I just want to take a moment.
Sure.
This is Dawn's last budget.
I was
meeting.
going to say something. Yes.
And so I mean, I for sure have appreciated Dawn's 2 years of hard work and plenty of evenings and weekends walking me through a budget book that I've never seen before and infinite visions when I'm used to Munis. So a big thank you to Dawn. She's been a great partner for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
She
you.
will be missed.
Good luck. Good luck to you, Dawn.
Thank you very much.
Just going to the dark side, huh?
I know.
At the
I
dark
know.
side, the other
Oh.
side of the town border.
And do we get to do this again at 7, right?
Yes, we do.
Oh, good. Talk up Dawn.
All right, we'll see you in 8 minutes.
All right.
All right. Thank you.